All right, Yogi. So Hatha Asana today. Our first position, the classic start, is the down dog. My Hatha Yoga teacher would walk in late and then he'd yell, down dog, as the first posture. Now I'm using blocks just to make it a little bit easier since it's the first posture. And again, you can move around a little bit because we're going to try to hold for at least 2 minutes here today. Feet wide is easier. Knees bent is easier. Just try to keep your hips up and back a little bit. Press your palms down, feel the underarm activate. Try to soften the back of the neck. Once you get into your body a little bit with a little moving, deep, smooth breathing in and out the nose. So if you were having like the best day of your life and you're really warmed up, you could hold handstand at the wall or headstand as well. Main goal is inversion, lengthening through the core, hips up to the sky and back. Remember, try to press your thumb and your index finger down. Sometimes they roll to the outer thumb. The padding of the thumb is rolling down more. It's kind of awkward at first. And notice if the inner palm is lifting down. The padding of the right, the index fingers, both fingers are pressing down, right? The inner hand is kind of pressing down. Notice if you dump a lot of weight into those armpits, lift those armpits up a little. Notice if you arch your back or around your spine. So again, you're going to have to add your own movements today. We have all regulars. I'm not going to cue you to shake it out or, add movements in between. I'm going to direct you through the poses today, okay? Traditionally in Hatha Yoga, we would say minimal unnecessary movements, more of a self-discipline practice today. So you're working on holding down dog until you need to take a break. Remember that a smooth inhale in your nose and a smooth exhale, slowing, elongating the exhale, can definitely increase strength, stamina. We don't want to restrict the breath because every moment those muscular cells are breathing. So keep that energy of the breath kind of moving in and out. Don't restrict it, unnecessarily here, okay? And if it happens to be a morning where you were hoping for more movement, you're kind of just at the whim of whatever I want to instruct, right? So when I feel really good, or let's say I've been moving too much, like last night I played basketball, so I just held poses after. It's kind of how I got this idea. I played 4 games of full court basketball, and then I just held all these different yoga poses for another hour after because I moved a lot. So I base it off what I've done and how I'm feeling. It's not like you're just kind of depending on whatever condition you're in, this is what's going on. So, it's okay to change it a little bit, all right? Nice job with your first position. Let's bring it down to the knees. All right, so here's where you could take a first little movement. This is the first true weight bearing on the wrist. Only gonna hold this one for, 45 seconds per side. Classic yoga, not moving today. Press your left foot down, lift your right leg up. Do not arch your back. Pull your ribs belly in. Flex your right foot, engage your right thigh, drop your right hip, left arm forward. We're gonna work on holding this, yogis. Think of it like a plank warm-up. Remember, yogis, we wanna press the left foot down and grip the right hand. So your hand here should not be flat fingers. A quick peek at the screen, your fingers are engaging against the floor. It's like you're trying to grip it, okay? That's gonna protect your wrist a lot more. When I learned that back in the day in yoga, it changed everything. It's called Hasta Bandha, the hand lock. Remember, if it gets too difficult, just keep the leg up. That's fine. If it's way too easy, you do it in plank pose. That would be our next tier there, okay? You wanna do Hatha Asana basically until failure. So you hold position until you have to leave it, and that's how you're gonna get stronger. All right, second side, please. Take a little neutralizing moment if you need. Classic pose. It's kind of like a warrior three, just on the knee, right? Left leg rises, press right foot down. I still see a lot of people not pressing the right foot down here, and that's going to make you so much more stable. You're going to conserve a lot of energy. Right arm forward like you're going to shake somebody's hand. Don't look forward here, yogis. Try to lengthen the back of the neck. Think just spinal posture. Okay, you can look forward for a few moments, but don't crank the neck. All right, pull the belly in a little bit. Grip that left hand. Spread the upper back a little bit. Couple more breaths here on our second side. Nice, Stephen. Yeah, plank pose is the full version here. Staying in the unstable, getting better at stabilizing unstable poses. Man, that's called tonic strength. It'll help you walk different. You'll feel much stronger, kind of throughout your day, because the body's way better at stabilizing all the major joints in that connections, okay? So after I did my intense exercise, take a break when you're done. Breathe. After I did my really intense physical activity, the basketball yesterday, which I am new to, has been years, I just held postures like this to stiffen up body parts that might be strained and, too loosened up, okay? Next posture is the plank. So classic start here. I'm gonna go on my forearms because we just did 2 on the hands, all right? Feet walk back, hips drop as high as shoulders, upper back spreads, thighs engage, butt squeezes. This tends to be a posture we hold often, so you might be a little better here. Now, we just came from hovering the foot, so you don't necessarily need to do that. You could work something like a little serratus awareness. A Serratus push-up is like I've shown before, where the chest drops between the arms a little bit and you spread your upper back. Another, you could do other fun things here. Like I said, anytime we do a plank, handstand at the wall is an option. So last night, instead of holding plank, I did handstand, okay? So that's another option. Even something like headstand, they're basically the exact same body form. It's just done in a different kinesthetic way. So tripod headstand is the exact same pose as forearm plank, just done upside down, right? Don't let your elbows go too wide. So what happens here, yogis, is your elbows want to like flare out wide. You're trying to like elbows in, shoulders kind of back and down. So we're not like up out here, we're kind of down in here. And eventually your forearms can be more parallel. So hands work wide, elbows hug in more. Again, you got to work on engaging your butt and your thighs more and pulling the belly in and kind of combining all that middle body stabilization. Last few breaths. Just so you know, a couple stretches are coming. I should mention that because the last 3 have been very strengthening. So we have 2 stretches coming up next. I see a lot of you taking breaks. That's fine. Just come. Maybe you come back and join us when you can. Bring it down to the chest, yogis. All right, first stretch here is the big chest stretch. The arm, shoulder, right arm reaches out to the right. It's a little break, but you get a lot done here. Left hand slides close to the body. Push through your left hand, roll toward your right side. Try to relax your head down, please. Look at the top left leg, reaching back behind me a little bit. I try to relax into the body here. In case you want a little bit more, if you want a bigger stretch, you roll back to your chest, and then rather than being here, guys, you bend the arm. Just notice the elbow is still as high as the shoulder. I'm just here, pushing through my left hand, still rolling toward my right. I'm actively pressing my right hand, elbow, and shoulder down, relaxing my head down. Close your eyes. An active rest here. Deep inhale in your nose. Smooth, meditative exhale. The inhale kind of expands the stretch in the body. The exhale releases tension and relaxes the body. Go slow, back to center, and left arm is going to reach out. You know, when you're looking at like all the complex stretches of the body, you know, I always do these things like, because I work with a lot of personal clients, and when I'm trying to give them new exercises based on their anatomical imbalances, you know, you can't give people a lot. You give them like 5 to 10. Some people I give like 3 or 5 at most. I give them like a video or a demonstration. They write it down. When you're looking at like a couple stretches only for a person, it's hard to beat this one. You know, it's probably in the top 5. It is pec major, and it's a big spiral line all the way through the front of that opposite thigh, abdomen. It is a spinal rotation, obliques. It's a really nice stretch to remember, and you know, do it very regularly. Especially if you notice things like your posture's rounding, your arms kind of roll forward, you're getting this kind of hunching. I do this one a lot, yogis. You know, even if you're standing up and you just throw your hand against the wall, kind of turning away from it. You know, ideal world, we'd all do this like every night before bed or something, right? Remember in Hatha Asana, Hatha is like the balance of opposites. Ha, sun, Ta means moon, or strong and easy, yin yang. I want you to find it here too, even though it's a more passive pose, there's still some activity, but a heavy half dose of relaxation. So in postures that tend to be like really easy, maybe a little bit more activation. In postures that are really difficult and strenuous, you're trying to almost relax more in them. Okay. Now I want to keep this going here. So less postures today, longer holds. Okay. When you're done with your second side, the next posture is Cobra. And let me just give you the demo. Down dog, our arms were like here with weight. And then the next posture, we were here and here, and then we were here. So we did a lot of front and above the head. Now this next one is supposed to be like here. It's weight here, and it's actually considered a pull, yogis. Our last ones were push. Now this is our first true pull, okay? If you want to hold up dog for the minute and 2, you can, but that's really difficult. Cobra 1 would be our easiest option. Rolling my shoulders back and down, activating my legs, hovering my hands, or even here. If you want to go a little bit more, you can here. But either way, I need those arms pushing down and pulling back, okay? So it's here. Here, it's still the same, okay? All right, Cobra hold, please. Shoulders back and down, navel pulling up and in. Big toes are reaching back, pressing down. Thighs are engaging. Pubic bone presses down. Okay, so every body part has a lot of intention. Notice what you're doing with your hands. I am weight bearing directly over the hands. So it's not flat fingers. It's grip fingers, Hasta Bandha. There's a difference. Down dog is flat hand, plank is grip fingers. All right. Hold position. And what's fun is as we do the fundamentals in Hatha Asana, you add a lot of little subtleties here. You know, we do like, you know, neck movements here after we get good at holding this. And we do hold this posture 5 minutes in the Hatha Asana classes, all right? So I am giving you the easier versions, okay? Try to lengthen from like your chin all the way from the tops of the feet. This is a huge front body stretch. Can you get your shoulders back and down more? But can you relax around here a little bit, the traps and the neck? And can you breathe into that tightness? Activate the legs more. This is how we change the body, yogis, you know, by signaling new fascial patterns, all right? Every moment that fascia is being constructed, you sit in a chair a lot, your body's getting better at sitting in a chair, but then when you try to stand up, it's getting worse at that. So here, if we're hunched over in a chair, this is kind of an opposite for than that. We're getting better at standing up tall. It's reducing what's called frontline restriction. All right. It gets more difficult to stand up tall. So we're reducing restriction in the front line. Nice hold, everyone. Child pose, just a quick hold. I'm not going to have you hold this too long, but taking your butt to your heels for a moment. I'll give you a good 30 seconds here. Nice job with the Cobra. So now we go strong into the legs. All right. We're going to hold leg weight bearing positions, and I'm going to give a little extra options for different levels. Okay. When you're done with your child pose, let's please come through downward dog. I'm not going to have you hold the forward bend too much, but walk your feet to the front of your mat and just give it a little stretch. You could do a little inhale, half lift like Ardha Uttanasana, and then forward fold. Kind of just, swaying a little bit. Good opportunity to child pose in here because chair pose is next. So you take a deep inhale, maybe like exhale out the mouth, okay? So our next Hatha Asana is the Utkatasana, the chair posture. And I think everyone knows this posture well. We're trying to stack our toes more under the knees and then underneath like the shoulders. Everything is like centered. It's called finding your midline. The more energy that's like out over, anything that's extended laterally becomes heavier and more strenuous. So the idea is to find this center stacked weight line. So you gotta close your eyes and kind of feel, where are you being inefficient? Notice if you lean a little bit too far forward or back on the feet, try to get a little bit more equal weight distribution. I don't want to see those knees creeping too far forward. So if you peek down, like I said earlier, your toes should be kind of like right over your knees. Wait, your knees should be right over your toes. It's almost like you can see those toes peeking right in front of the knee. Now, if you arch your back too much, you got to pull that belly in a little bit, ribs in a little bit, or vice versa. If you round, you got to kind of arch a tiny bit more. Reach your arms up, but relax your traps a little bit. Your palms are kind of rolling toward each other, almost back slightly. Okay, and you're trying to straighten the elbows, elongating the neck. Try to pull the head back too a little bit in case it's going too far forward. Close your eyes. Breathe. So remember, this is an anti-hinge. Your upper body's leaning back. We don't want our chest to come too far down. All right, this isn't Warrior 3 or it's not Ardha Uttanasana. Think of your kitchen table chair. All right, the back of your chair is leaning forward. That wouldn't be very comfortable. The back of your chair is standing upright. So we're working on bending our knees, bringing our thighs parallel to the floor more, knees over feet, same as a chair, right? And then the upper body is leaning back. So you're almost on the edge of kind of like falling. It's a very, very difficult. They call it fierce pose. That's one of the nicknames in yoga. And that's because of what you're trying to do is very intense. Okay, last few moments. Yeah, just holding your arms up is also very difficult. You shake it out a little bit if you need, right? Now, in Hatha Asana, I had some teachers in the studio I used to practice back in 2005 through 2009, and the teacher would yell at me for moving. If I fidgeted at all, he'd like yell at me. So I won't be there, but you can be your own disciplinary, all right? Nice job, guys. Stand up. I know I lost a lot of you there, but 1 or 2 years we're still going. So, this would be a good movement. Twists are coming up here shortly, okay? First, big balance posture. Feet, hips width distance. Right foot down, left knee lifts. Now, there's a lot of versions of this pose. The first initial pose here to hold is fingers intertwined 2 inches below the knee. Pull the knee up, flex the foot, and drive up and pull the knee up. It's like wind removing pose. It's kind of like our first lunge, let's say. From the side, you can see sometimes I go like this. I don't want to see that. I want to be stacked in my posture. Shoulders over, hips over, feet. Elbows hug in, you pull. Now, you could go here if you want more underneath the hamstring. You could even go here. And you're flexing the foot. You're pulling the thigh toward the chest. If you want the quick visual, we do it like this on our back. We also do it like this on our back. It's the same pose.
but standing, okay? Where I'm engaging my leg, flexing my foot, pulling. Now it's much more difficult because you're standing. A few more breaths. This one's not that long, okay?
The goal is to stay on one foot, to stand as tall as possible, breathe as smooth as possible, to work but relax. Notice body tendencies, imbalance and unconscious patterns.
Remember, your subconscious is only a collection of like habits. And how do we create new habits? By creating intentions in the mind, and then you're concentrating on that new intention. And then that becomes a habit over time, and new patterns are built in the subconscious. All right, so we can create postural patterns rather quickly by staying resilient in the body and in the moment. All right.
Yeah, you can shake it out if you want, yogis, all right?
Big inhale, left foot down, and you shake it out a little bit if you need. In traditional Hatha Yoga, when we do this, this is how you do it. One breath here. Minimal movement, second side, opposite pinky bind on the bottom. In traditional Hatha Yoga, it's minimal, unnecessary movements.
Teacher says, oh, you want to shake it out? No, you're not allowed to actually, but I can't be that disciplined on you guys. Now hold position. And as we say in Hatha Yoga, you get good at the poses. I say this a lot in all classes, but it comes from the Hatha Yoga training. You get good at this, you close one eye. And you focus your eyes. I'm not going into it, but Hatha Yoga is big on drishti. Where are your eyes? Focus on a spot. It's called the 1,000-yard stare. Don't look down, look forward, like a little dot on your wall, and stare way past it. If you get really good at the single eye or the double eye drishti, it's called the third eye drishti. So you close your eyes in a posture you're getting good at. All right? Are you in your body's knowing well? Hold position. And I want you to notice if one side is a lot better than the other here in all double-sided postures, which is now we're getting into asymmetrical. You want to work and stretching the tighter side more and strength the weaker side more. So if I say one side, it's okay if you hold one side longer because it's weaker or vice versa and stretch. You got to personalize it for your body because I'm giving a general well-rounded approach, let's say. Okay. Now, please take your time. Nice job there. Triangle pose is next, okay? So we are going to widen the feet. And I at least want 3 feet wide. You can't be too close together here, please. Your blocks might need to be by your feet. When I started Hatha Yoga, by the way, there was no blocks. So, some people come in really tight. You just do triangle like this, actually. It's kind of like side angle. So my feet are about in a line heel to heel. My right hip dips, my arms can go wide, I reach and hinge. So now we're gonna look. Now it's the first time the arms are really going back like this. We're turning our chest up to the sky, lengthening our bottom right side body, engaging legs, guys, pressing the big toes down. All right, so let's hold posture and breathe. Activation here, don't get lazy, okay? Engage your legs, lengthen through your core, lean your upper body back over that front leg. Driving your right hip kind of forward in space, your right hip. Let's breathe. Can you make your neck more comfortable? You do not have to look up. It's actually suggested to look down first. With practice, you'll look more to like your side, to the left. And with a lot of practice, you'll start to look up. But let's not force anything on the neck here. Looking down is just as much of a neck rotation as looking up is. Breathe in your posture, a little bit longer hold here, okay? The nice thing about this, yogis, is we're going to get all our standing poses done here in a row. Got a few more, but then we'll be back on the ground, all right? When it gets difficult is when you're reprogramming the nervous system, kind of rewriting the blueprint of the physical mechanistic body, the musculoskeletal fascia. So if you only always do quick holds, which I tend to do more also than often, I'm about consistency. I exercise pretty much every day. A lot of it is very light, but uh, some type of maintenance in the body and in the mind, some type of like movement. Every day we take care of that body, right? We don't take days off from maintenance in this body. All right. Nice job, guys. Let's slowly exit position. You might need a little neutralizer. Totally get it. Left side, your left toes will turn out when you're ready, please. And again, you can stack 2 blocks. I didn't say that. Iyengar always does the 2 block, and he's a Hatha yogi. So you could, if you need a little bit extra height, because it helps you engage your legs better and lengthen through your spine better, and drive that left bottom hip under and lean the upper body back, that's probably a good idea to kind of teach the body that good intention, as opposed to kind of being too deep and lacking a lot of quality. All right, so most of us look like we're getting in there. Notice if one side's tighter. I want you to step into this moment and connect your conscious body to the imbalanced situation going on. Can you side bend and lengthen better on one side? And if this is a good one to close your eyes in if you're good at it, okay? A lot to feel. Pressing the big toes down, engaging the thighs really strong, kind of squeezing the legs toward each other. So there's kind of like scissoring action in the legs. The bottom left hip drives forward. This left side body lengthens. The upper body leans back a little bit more over the front leg. Ribs pull in a little bit. Chest turns, navel turns up to the sky. Shoulder blades back and down. Arms spread and open. Neck elongates. And instead of moving physically, moving the breath. Big inhale, you'll feel the whole body be stimulated there. Slow exhale. If a lot of you're all regulars, but if you're new to this is deepest lower back muscle. So if you do have anything going on right now, I should have mentioned this earlier. So you got back pain here. You got to be extra careful. You should probably be doing a bent knee with your forearm on your thigh, side angle. You don't want to, hyper lengthen your deepest lower back muscle for a really long time when it's irritated, probably, right? If you were gonna, I would say super seated straddle forward fold at the side bend instead. There's just less weight. All right. So if you're, there's back pain people right now, the practice has to change a little bit rather than someone with a healthy lower back. Okay. The idea is like you work in the farm, you're going to be bent over for hours. Our body is designed to do that. We just don't do it a lot. So you work on a farm every day, you're going to be bent over most of your life, right? So when you're ready, nice job there, guys. Let's slowly exit. Now, you might need a neutralizer there, okay? Now, we do go back to front body. That's our big lateral body, but we add the twist. So now, instead of going here, we keep the spine long, we twist. Step to the front of your mat, please. Left foot goes back. We're not doing many lunges, by the way. If you don't want to do the lunge twist, just hold high lunge. But the classic Hatha Yoga, the hold and the squeezing out the core. Hands come into prayer if you want to reach them up for a moment. And here it is, yogis. Now, some of the traditional Hatha Yogas, we hold this 5 minutes and we meditate here. And a lot of them, they say do this, right? Where I'm lengthening through my core, pressing my feet down, big toes, a little scissoring and squeezing the feet toward each other. And I'm here. Now, some of us want that extra strength and you're here more. With practice, you're going to work on spreading your arms more. Or even working a bind. The right arm goes around the back. Now, the full bind is a big one. It's a huge shoulder, upper body release where your left elbow gets outside your right knee and thigh. And then you have to immediately rotate. So that means internally turn your left hand in under that right hip. Your hands actually meet in front of the outer left hip area. And then you hold that. You can do that with the knee down or lift it. Try to lengthen through your core. Now study your body. Start with the feet. Can you press them down a little bit more where you're not? And then the legs kind of squeeze together, forward and back, side to side, and this rotational quality slightly. That's called torque or rotational strength. Pull the belly in, lengthen the side bodies, left hip, right hip back a little bit here, down. That's pelvic tilt. So every single aspect of the musculoskeletal mechanical, biomechanical body has an active stabilization. It also has a imbalance look at, or like alignment cue, and it also has a relaxation, right? So this stuff is deep. People practice this stuff for years and I'm still refining my postures like big time. I noticed like last night, as you kind of peel away the layers of awareness, new stuff is exposed. New awareness becomes exposed in these very subtle things. It's really interesting when you think you got the pose well, all of a sudden you're like, wow, I can still improve a lot in these areas because I'm getting better at this area. More subtle things are shown. Okay. Nice job, guys. Let's slowly exit position. Step your left foot forward, stand up, maybe shake it out for a moment. Traditionally in Hatha Yoga, they say stand still and as tall as possible. Breathe smoothly out your nose. Standing meditation. So second side, left foot, right foot back. Take a moment to set up your lunge. A lot of you are doing knee down or a little half. That's cool. You hold the lunge as long as you can, and then you drop the back knee down. I saw one or two just come back to the lunge. That's great. You take a little breather if you need. Okay, so back knee lifts. If you're doing it back, and then you hinge and twist. Go ahead. So we have a lateral hinge and we have a rotational hinge. We're not going to do much more of that. We will do the neutral warrior 3, right? Now breathe here. Meditate with your body. You know the cues now. Look out for rounding spines. Lengthen. People who are rounding, hunching, no. Pull your chest forward and kind of up and lengthen, pull the head back and lengthen the back of the neck. When you want to leave it, that is when you're getting stronger. Mr. Iyengar, if you don't know him, he's one of the most famous modern yogis who changed yoga, how we do it everywhere in the West. And he said the yoga begins when you want to leave the pose. Yoga means connecting to the source. So when the body and the mind get weak, you kind of transcend all that and connect to these deeper energies that fuel the physical realm, the body. You could say oxygen, because that's subtle. You can't really see that, or it's hard to be aware of that. So that's a very kind of practical look at that. But, there's deeper like thoughts and emotions and intentions, where we can channel higher aspects of ourselves by certain thoughts, processes, and remembering what a blessing it is to be here. My teacher used to always say this one thing in moments like this. Remember that there's millions of people in hospitals right now begging God just to feel good. And they would be thrilled to be in chair pose for 5 minutes. Much more difficult, much more easy than being stuck in a hospital bed, right? So we want to remember that how lucky we are to be in the poses when it gets tough, all right? He used to say that like every class, particularly around chair pose.
Nice job, guys. Get out of there. When you're done, please. Now, I kind of lost track of timing there, so you got to keep me honest if my timing's not great, okay? So shake it out. Now, it is another asymmetrical posture. It is the warrior 3 hold. Now, We always do warrior three as the main pose here. If you want to do, just to be clear, standing split's the same basically, and handstand hold is basically the same. But most of us probably holding that warrior three. So you shake it out a little bit. It is another hinge, right? So it's a straight leg more, no rotational quality. If you want to do a little extra for your arms, you could do fists behind you. You could do this one here where the hands go behind, intertwine your fingers. A nice shoulder stretch. Did one earlier, but can't hurt to do it again. Or reverse prayer is a fun one. Here we go. Left foot hovers, right knee bends to start, left pinky toe stays facing the ground. So I don't want to turn my hip or foot open. I just keep hinging from the hips, okay? I drop my left hip down.
Whatever leg is lifting, that whole kind of hip drops in space. Notice if you round your upper body, your spine, arch a little bit more or lengthen the chest forward, pull the abdomen in. Notice if you tense your ears to your shoulders, please. Shoulders kind of back and down. And then try to straighten those legs a little bit more by engaging those thighs. And how about instead of flexing your top foot, point the back toe like a dancer's foot today. I'm not going to hold you too long, right? Bent over one-legged postures, we won't want to hold too long here, about a minute. When you do beginner Hatha, you have people have two hands on blocks right under your shoulders. So it's an assisted warrior three, all right? You train till your body wants to quit, you go a couple more breaths. The mind is stronger than the body. You train till the mind wants to quit, the spirit's stronger. You remember what a blessing it is to be in this pose this now. All right? We're just trying to get that perspective, remembering it could be much worse. That's what my girlfriend has two kids. And every time they're upset that they didn't get their little thing, I say, oh, you could be in Somalia right now and have nothing, right? And they hate when I say that. So, all right, guys, nice job there. Shake it out, please. You're almost done with standing poses. So shake it out a little bit. And then it's second side. Oh, just to be clear, a nice stretch is coming up. So you're going to like that, all right? So work hard here. Left foot down. Lengthen the back of your neck. You're not looking forward here, yogis. You're lengthening the back of the neck. You can do a little look forward initially. Okay, we do that, but in the beginner classes, back of the neck is more elongated. So go ahead, warrior three. You go at your own pace. The knees start a little bit more bent, and then we work on straightening the back, the top leg first. We actually do straighten our standing leg. Yeah, we lock the knee. But you got to be really resilient in engaging your standing thigh muscle, because that's going to stabilize the knee. Now, there is the exception to the rule, hyperextension in the knee. If your knee over straightens, like it bows backward, you do want to keep a micro bend, probably. All right. Come on, let's work here, yogis. This is one of our biggest standing poses of class here today. Now, if you're putting hands on the blocks, you try to come to your fingertips, right? You don't get heavy in those hands and let your legs get lazy. There's a leg and a spine pose. You're trying to teach those things to work together better, all right? Yeah, so left hip drops down here, or right hip, whatever leg is lifted the hip drops down. We're not opening the hip, yogis. If it's uncomfortable, frustrating, and awkward, and difficult, you are doing it correct. Hatha Asana, we work on holding these postures much longer, right? Hatha Asana, they hold them for 15 and 30 minutes. You master Hatha Asana when you hold these postures for 30 minutes, all right? I'm sorry, you're advanced. You don't master yet. 30 minutes is not master. 30 minutes is advanced. And intermediate's like 10 minutes. 10 to 15, okay? 5 minutes is your beginner, all right? So when you're done, stand up. Nice job there, guys. You got to work that weaker side more. All right, shake it out. Final standing posture is it's another round of chair. Now, I'll give you some options. You could do, I like the figure 4 here, a rotational hip quality, because we really didn't do much of that yet. So if I bend the knees, right ankle to top left knee, it's a double bent knee with the back bend. So most of us were like this. So, you're trying to straighten your legs more. Here, you're trying to bend your knees more and lean the upper body back again. So you're just leaning forward. I like this one. All right. You flex the foot. You're getting down into that chair. Another fun one I'll let you decide here is this, but you're going to have 2 rounds at that point, where I'm working the chair again with the heels lifted. Those are both really classic in the Hatha Yoga chair holds. Goddess could be another one. We do that one a lot though, right? So figure 4 might be our best option. So you take a few deep breaths here, sitting lower, trying to flex that foot, yogis. Remember, as you sit lower, like both knees are, as you sit your butt lower, your right knee here is like opening down. So you don't want the knee coming up. You should feel a big stretch in your outer right hip also. Nice. Yeah, some of you are doing like flying pigeon. If you want to arm balance here, that's totally fine. It's basically the same body form. Yoga is a mental, spiritual practice. Try to practice enjoying this. Okay, I know it can be difficult. And when you do this stuff regularly, my studio had no vinyasa. I never did a sun salutation in that studio. And I practiced there thousands of times. We never did flow. Some of the teachers were really creative. We did a lot of different hatha poses. Some, you did the exact same postures every single time. So, I did half. I went to the teachers that I hated, that were mean to me and picked on me, and did the same exact postures every time that were boring. And then I went to a lot of the teachers who did a lot of creative stuff. They're both really good. Difficult to enjoy a chair. All right, second side, nice job there. And then, you shake it out. Last standing pose. Left ankle to top right knee for most of us. The figure 4 chair hold. Remember, guys, we don't have weight. So, how do we create more weight bearing response on the legs? By going on one leg. All right. This is our third and final balance of class. Nice. Yeah, some of you can hold a weight. Like if you had like a weight sitting next to you, you could like hold it in your hands, right? So that's a fun way to do this too. Instead of moving the body, move the breath. I didn't mention it's an ujjayi breath, right? So it's a slight restriction in the throat. Lips are closed. Tongue lightly to the top of the mouth. A slight restriction, if you want to get technical, it's the glottis. So you can feel this like restriction of air coming from the lower throat. It's not a nasal breath. It's not this. It's this. So it's like I'm inhaling in my mouth, but the mouth is closed. And it's like I'm exhaling out the mouth, but the mouth is closed. So the pulling of the air comes from deeper or lower. All right. You'll have better air control and body strength. Even like weightlifters use that. It's think of a garden hose. If you pinch and restrict the water, what's behind the water, like our body, what's behind the pinch and the hose gets tight, right? That happens with the air restriction, the pressure in the chest or in the abdominal cavity. So Ujjayi breath, I should have mentioned that at the beginning. You're supposed to in the Hatha Yoga. Ujjayi breathing in the beginning, right? And that sets that breathing pattern for the class. I'll be honest, I don't Ujjayi breathe all the time now anymore. I did it for years And I now work on keeping my breath as calm as possible always. All right. Just based off some of the neuroscience and yoga together, advanced breathing is as calm as possible and as deep and as slow and as smooth as possible. But calm is the main word. Where Ujjayi is like a power breath. Okay. So it looks like some of you are done there. I hope you're doing your weaker side more, even if you have to get back into it. Weaker side will fail first. Okay. So especially after the first side, you know, we're doing right first, traditional yoga, ascending colons there. All right. So we're trying to clean out digestive tract. All right, guys, let's get out of there. Next posture is the Yogi Squat. We're not going to hold it very long. It's a stretch. You widen your feet, turn your toes out, and you get low. Now, if you want to go crow pose, just to be clear, we are going to hold side plank. So we only got like 3 more postures left, and side plank is the first. All right, so all right, so we only have 3 more postures left. It's 1 round of side plank to the best of your ability. And since most of us are right-handed and our stress tension pattern is right side body, I'm doing left side first. Here we go. Step it back. Left hand down. It's been a while since we're on the wrist. Right arm up, a hold. If you're good at it, eyes closed. Work on engaging your butt, your thighs, lengthening through your postural core. Now, you are weight bearing directly over your hand on one arm. You must engage your fingers. If you don't, this is going to hurt your wrist. I go to classes all the time, and teachers tell me to flatten my fingers here. That is not smart. I do it for a second, and then as soon as they turn them by their back, I grip the fingers. I listen to teachers as much as possible, but not in that one. You got to grip the fingers here, guys. It's like you're trying to dig up the earth with your fingers, but not too intense, right? We're not going like this. It's more like this. Okay, that's going to stabilize your wrist way better. If you're really good at it, you know, we do go, this is a posture we get fancy in the holds, all right, in a lot of the classes. Hover left leg, hover top leg. You could bow behind you. You could bring your right toes to the sky, pulling your knee towards your armpit, and then binding the shin or the. We don't move though in Hatha Asana. All right. Nice. Yep. Train till failure. Exit slow when you decide to exit. Maybe come back and join us. If wrist is limiting factor, you hold on the wrist as long as you can, but then you go to your forearm. You don't drop those hips. Okay. Because the only way you're going to get those wrists stronger is by stressing them. Nice job, guys. I'll leave it there. You know, I'm losing a lot of yous, right? So second side, a couple of yous are still going, so you can hold longer if you want, all right? I do want to save a little energy for our second side. So let's do it. Uh-oh, what's happening? You guys are all doing weird, you're all doing your own thing now. Okay. No worries. I know. It's tough practice. Nice, Brian. Engage those thighs and that butt. Pull the belly in a little bit more, okay? The idea, yogis, is all these postures are full body. Can you use your whole body a little? Yoga means union, togetherness. Can you use your whole body a little? Not a few muscles, a lot. That's called a muscle chain versus isolated. You will get way stronger if you can learn to activate where you're not activating. Notice if you turn your hips like up to the sky or your chest, like your hips down to the floor. More stacked neutral. This is peak side body. Triangle is like hyper range in the lateral movement. And then this is anti-lateral. So your body wants to just drop, right? But you're not letting it. It wants to go into a range of motion, but you're in neutral. You're basically standing in posture, right? Ideally, your hands under your shoulder. That's first version. We do the ones where the arm goes more forward. We also advanced as bent arm side plank. That is a really tough version. Elbow hugs in and you're in bent arm side plank. Just like you hold bent arm plank after you're good at holding top arm, straight arm plank. Bent arm dog after straight arm, right? Uh-oh, losing you guys now. This is peak weight bearing on the arms. Now, yogis, ideally, the Hatha Yoga classes I always went to, they were always 90 minutes. There was not one class at the studio that was not 90 minutes. And they had classes all day long. So this class is short. Ideally, we would do now an inversion, right? So we would stop here. And usually it was headstand. They didn't really teach that much headstand at the studio, only a couple teachers. But if you couldn't do headstand, you held shoulder stand. Now, I'm going to skip that because I want to do the last symmetries of the body, which is boat and bridge or wheel. All right. So when you're done with a lot of you look done there. Okay. You're going to swing around your butt.
Legs are going to go forward. And we're going to hold low boat. Now, a lot of times we hold high boat, but I don't want to do hip flexors right now. I want to bring you down to your lower back. You do curl your upper body, yogis. It's hollow, which means spinal flexion. I'm actually telling you to actively round your spine. When you kept rounding your spine, I said, don't do that. Because, you're actually trying to extend the spine there. Here, your spine wants to extend, but you're trying to flex it. Okay? And the stronger you get, one leg goes forward or both legs. Eventually, lower back flat, toes as high as the eyes. And you can do a little bit more what's called Bhastrika breathing.
So you can do a little bit more stronger breath here, a smooth, meditative, rhythmic inhale and exhale out the nose. So it's but remember, yogis, that your lower back stays down. Okay. And usually in Hatha Yoga, you just hold this. I tend to teach pulsing. That's a little bit more like modern addition. Arm movements, leg movements. That's a little bit more all kind of just modern, let's say. The traditional is a meditation here. The yogis say it's grounding the Manipura. So the lower back is pressing down, grounding your ego, power, busy center. It's like your busy minded center there. Okay. So lower back down, everything else off the floor. Eventually we do like hover the hips like slightly, right? It's like super advanced and difficult. So your shoulder blades hover, your middle kind of lower back is down, and you're even posterior tilting so much that you might feel the lowest part of your buttocks hovering slightly. It's super difficult. Okay, try to engage your thighs more so the legs are straight. In a traditional Hatha Yoga, remember, we do end with stretches too. A lot of times we'd end with pigeon or splits. We'd also do Virasana and like a seated spinal twist. Straddle forward fold. A lot of the stretches I have you do regularly. You can really see Hatha Yoga and how I instruct. I tend not to be like a vinyasi. All right. Nice job there, guys. So our final pose here, I'll let you decide. If you want to do like a stretchy back bend, you can. We didn't really do a strengthening one. Locust is a big one in this practice, usually done most classes. I teach that a lot. But bridge or wheel, hold. If you don't have it in you, you could do Virasana, camel. These are stretchy back bends, or restorative bridge, block under your butt. This is our last active posture opportunity. After this, I'm just going to give you kind of like a quick stretch, and we're going to call it a practice at that point. So I want one big, strong last back bend, ideally. Wheel if you have it. That's full upward facing bow. Bridge is where your shoulders, head stay on the floor, arms stay on the floor, and you press through your feet, lift your hips, right? Posterior tilt, knee flexion, big toe down, pronation, side bodies lengthen. Some of us, one-legged bridge is always a nice option. But camel is a good one here. Bow on your chest, locust. Nice. And inversion's cool too, right? Yeah, nice. You want to hold handstand at the wall or something. Remember, they consider handstand and wheel the same posture. All right. It's a handstanding back bend. All right. You keep shifting weight to your hands. Like, so you keep walking your feet closer to your hands and wheel, upward bow, which shifts weight into your arms, stacking your shoulders over your wrists more, straightening your elbows more. Okay. So it's almost like your upper body's in that handstand. A lot of times the arms are angled back, but eventually in wheel, you're shifting weight towards those arms, stacking the weight better there. Okay. So last 30 seconds here. I see some of you are done, but maybe you do an extra round. The wheel hold is one of the most difficult in the Hatha Yoga. I tend to sometimes think holding wheel is more difficult than handstand, right? Because there's so much restriction. Muscles are kind of fighting against you. So last few moments here, yogis, and I'll just give you a stretch or two, and then we're going to call it a meditation to end, okay? We'll go just a few minutes extra. Yeah, I got 9:58, so we'll stretch for just a minute or two, and then we'll get you into your meditation, okay? So as far as stretching, hamstrings are done, outer hips are done. The thing that you could stretch would be your front thigh. Um,
We did inner thighs too, a triangle, right? So, if you want any certain hip stretch, this might be a nice one. We didn't do medial. So where the knee's not right, and the right foot goes on the outer left knee. Okay. Another nice one that you might feel good about doing here, because it's kind of like what we're lacking. The deep bend in the knee, lengthening through the front body here. All right. So for some of us, Cobra was the biggest front body stretch. A couple of us did wheel. That was probably it. So this would be my other, hip stretch. You don't really need a pigeon or a figure four or a hamstring. Maybe the front thigh, which I'm demonstrating now here. Another nice version is this. Just a couple breaths, please, in your hip stretch of choice.
And then you'll, at your pace, right? You're going to switch sides based on what you're feeling here. We're loosening up a little bit now. We're not as strict. I think that when we're looking at muscles that are understretched in yoga, front thigh, inner thigh, right? Because outer thigh and hamstring, back of thigh, tend to be stretched more, like pigeon and forward fold versus like legs wide, like straddle or butterfly, and this, where the knee bends and you pull the thigh back. So just remember that, we're always trying to stretch what's tighter more, strengthen what's weaker more, okay? Move what's stuck more, and still what's over moving. So last part here, guys, would be a spinal twist. We really didn't do many. We did two. If you want to do one here in your back, just kind of bring your knees into your chest. You can release one, take the knee over or both knees over. This is going to be the last posture. I'll give you the moment for knees into the chest or happy baby after. But just a breath or two in your final twist if you're going to do it. Anything else is welcome. Really, it doesn't have to be a yoga even, something from your own routine or... And make sure you switch sides, please. So last few moments in your twist, you finish that up, you give it one last little squeeze, knees in the chest. That's called Apanasana. There's also Happy Baby. In Sanskrit, that's the Ananda Balasana, the blissful baby. And, Plow is the Halasana. Those three are all kind of the same thing in a way here to end. What I love about the Hatha Yoga, what I found, guys, when, we didn't hold Warrior Two, but that's a very common one. You hold Warrior Two, it's one of the longest holds of some standard Hatha Yogas. You're looking at like 3 minutes and you're just like dying in that thing. But what I find, you kind of develop the ability to create this place in your mind that when things get difficult, you have this place in your mind that you've developed over time of being in strenuous, difficult situations. It's like you create this inner space that you can go to when things get difficult. It's tough to describe, but I think I just said it well. You through this practice, when you're holding and burning and struggling, you're creating this space inside that you can kind of go to anytime when things get crazy, like, or you're at a busy, crowded amusement park, or you're in the airport, or you're in traffic, or you're with your in-laws or something, something that stresses you out. You have this space in your mind you've developed through practicing being in struggle. I find that very useful. All right, so let's do our final meditation, yogis. We'll just go, traditional Hatha Yoga, they say 2 to 3 minutes, by the way, as a minimum, right? So we'll just do that today. So just find a comfortable meditation position, seated or laying, just centering ground for a moment, kind of sitting in the reflection of the practice. Sometimes we think of one pose, like what's one moment that really stuck out to your mind, body, and spirit? All right. Final meditation. Let your body rest, please.